Our first sponsor for the podcast is Inverted Gear. Inverted Gear sells Jiujitsu equipment. They sell gis, rash guards, shorts, all that cool stuff. They're really cool people, really great customer service. They have a cool blog. Check it out. Go to invertedgear.com. Type in the coupon code SHOWTHEART15, no spaces. You'll get 15% off, and you will enjoy what you get. Our next sponsor is Chimera Coffee. Chimera Coffee is coffee from Dominican Republic infused with nootropics. If you don't know what nootropics are, they're things that help your brain run a little quicker, fire the synapses a little faster, help you remember words better. Just Google it. Trust me, you won't go wrong. It's a great tasting coffee, and you'll love it. Go to their website, chimeracoffee.com with a K, not .com with a K, coffee with a K. And type in the coupon code SHOWTHEART, no spaces, and you will get 10% off. Boom. Josh Vogel, BJJ black belt. What a great achievement.
No Seriously. Big deal.
Well, thanks, guys. I appreciate it. I appreciate you guys having me on.
Ooh,
absolutely. Josh, can you give us a quick background of where you came from? Because you're a man of many talents. So can you just let everyone know what you're all about?
Yeah. So I started doing jiu-jitsu. Well, before I did jiu-jitsu, I did a couple different styles of kung fu. That was like maybe 15. Well, it was in the late 90s and early 2000s, and then I got into jiu-jitsu in about 2003 with Phil and Rick Miglerese in Philadelphia.
Okay.
And my brother and I started training with them at the same time, and we came up together, and and then as soon as I started jiu-jitsu, like day one, I just fell in love with it. I was like, all right, this is what I'm doing.
As we all did.
Yeah.
You got bit by the bug.
Well, it was cool because, like it was the first time in martial arts that I was allowed to spar like every single day. Mm-hmm. And B, that the techniques that I was using actually looked like the same way when they were sparring. Like it wasn't like, like you learn an arm bar, but then you have to reinterpret the arm bar to actually use it in sparring. It was like you learn an arm bar and then you roll with somebody and then they choke you and you sweat on them. And then eventually you get the same arm bar you did in class.
True.
That's true.
Yeah. I never thought about martial arts in that sense. Like some martial arts translate identically when you're sparring and some don't.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. There's like a weird thing that happens where like with certain martial arts, or maybe it's just certain people, like they'll teach you a move and then they say, well, you can't really use the move like this in sparring, but you have to use the concept. And, you kind of play this like mental gymnastics with the move. And then eventually like, well, I know it looked just like a jab, but actually it embodies the it's like, I'd rather just do a move that looks the same when you're sparring.
Yeah. It works or it doesn't. It either is or it isn't.
Yeah.
At the end of the day. Yeah. And, I mean, I don't want to discount other styles like Kung Fu or many other like, old school martial arts styles because they do have a lot of other things to offer besides self-defense and just going through movements. I don't want to say that because you are a movement coach, but just going through the movements, just being able to do sequences in a row and gaining the coordination, gaining the strength and all the things that come along with martial arts, like, the integrity and the discipline involved. It teaches you much more than just self-defense. We need to get away from just thinking about martial arts as if it doesn't work in the street, it's no good.
Well, yeah, I think, also too, I mean, like, and I didn't mean that to sound bad against traditional martial arts at all. Like I meant like with some of the stuff, like Anderson Silva was the perfect example of this. Like he had a pretty strong traditional Muay Thai and Jiu-Jitsu background. Yeah. And he reached a very high level in mixed martial arts. And then he was able to take certain techniques from traditional martial arts and even stuff that he just invented creatively on his own and apply them at a high level in MMA. So he could do stuff like, like he would play with the Wing Chun dummy and bring some of those tactics in and like, so I think, I'm sorry, go ahead.
I was going to say, which we've seen in his last couple of fights, like him doing some of the Wing Chun or Taekwondo blocking systems to kind of catch punches before they get close to the face.
Yeah. So I think, exactly. Yeah. I think, if you like, I think I'm saying that a lot of that stuff is for sure. I mean, there's a lot of effectiveness in it. I've met some dudes who can really fight with a lot of that stuff.
Nice.
I think it's just like, if it's put in the context of a live training system, and you have, like Machida is the same way. I mean, Machida, he came from a Shotokan karate background, and because he wasn't worried about grappling, because he was good black belt in jiu-jitsu and had sumo skills and wrestling skills and judo, he was able to implement his Shotokan. So I think if you have the right context, you can plug a lot of that stuff in and be a really interesting and unorthodox fighter.
Definitely. I'm in full agreement with you. And at the end of the day, it's about how effective you can be using that style, or how effective, or what techniques of high effectiveness you can take from that style and use it. Going with your example of Anderson Silva, he's not using everything from Thai, but he's using the most effective things into his own style, and then he's using some things from other styles that he finds very effective and using them. I mean, the old cliche of Bruce Lee taking what's most useful is it's timeless. You can't repeat it enough because it's so true.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and also I think what is useful is usually what surprises the other guy. So like if you have Anderson Silva and you're expecting him to throw leg kicks at you, and all of a sudden he punches you in the side of your leg, it's like, oh shit, where'd that come from?
Yeah. See that one coming.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Awesome, man. And listen, man, I hate to end an Anderson Silva conversation because I'm his biggest fan.
Yeah.
But let's get more into
Number
you.
one groupie.
Cool.
Let's get into you, man. So you are a movement coach under, how do you say his name? Erwan Lacour?
Well, I trained with Erwan Lacour's students,
Okay.
and in the MoveNet system. So I haven't trained with Erwan, but I've trained with some of his students and done certification courses and
Sure.
workshops and been practicing that and other movement systems with different coaches for I guess the last 5 or 6 years.
Nice, man. And MoveNet is a company that has recently gotten some publicity because of Carlos Condit.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. In the MMA world, they've gotten a little bit more press because of Carlos Condit, and then I think also the Conor McGregor thing, because he's doing, he's a very public figure, and he trains with Ido Portal, and so that's sort of drawing extra attention to MoveNet, and MoveNet's drawing extra attention to, I think people are just noticing movement coaches more now.
Sure. The funny thing is, I'm a researcher. I research a lot. I look at fitness. I look at this. I look at jiu-jitsu. I look at that. And I was looking for something in the gymnastics realm, in the, how to do muscle ups and things like that. And I came across MoveNet first. Then MoveNet on the same day took me to Ido Portal.
Yeah.
And then after that, maybe a month later, Conor McGregor starts coming out with the whole movement, and he's training with Ido Portal, and it was kind of ironic. But my point is, I found Erwan first.
Yeah.
So what is
that's
it?
How I was too.
What is it that MoveNet is or teaches you?
So I think if you look at the whole movement thing that's going on, the movement culture and that sort of group of people that are interested in that world, mm-hmm. I think MoveNet is a very specific sort of style within that world. So their thing is very, I mean, I hate to use the word paleo because it's sort of cheesy now, but they're kind of if paleo exercise, I guess you could say. And there are probably people that would get irritated with me for saying that, but it's the easiest way to explain that to people who haven't done any of it before.
Okay.
And the idea is that it's, you're learning skills, you're learning a set of basic skills: crawling, climbing, running, jumping, lifting and carrying heavy things, throwing things. Mm-hmm. And then, there is a combative aspect as well. Okay. And what it does is it's made a system out of basic, primitive human movement, stuff that, if you were living maybe
in the Stone Age.
Yeah, in the Stone Age, or even a couple hundred years ago, where you had to walk somewhere and then lift something heavy and carry it to your house, or if you were hunting and you killed something and had to drag it back, or you have to climb up a tree to run away from something that can't climb a tree.
Okay, so basically, it's just getting in touch with your more primitive self, your more animalistic self, and putting your body through all these natural kind of forest movements that we would generally do had we not advanced in technology and advanced as a society in all these other ways.
Just relearning everything.
Yeah. So it's like if you get on the ground right now, you know how to crawl, and like I'm sure you could figure out how to climb up a tree. But and because these are things that I mean, I'm not educated in the ins and outs of like evolution and all that stuff, and I hate talking about that because I'm not like a evolutionary scientist or anything.
Yeah. And you don't want to stir the pot.
Yeah, and I don't want to talk about stuff that I don't know what I'm talking about. But their concept in MoveNat is that they believe that in an evolutionary sense, people have evolved over time to be able to climb, to hang from stuff, to swing, to lift, to carry, to throw, to fight. And so they teach you technical ways to do these things. So if you climb a tree right now, you could figure it out. But if I give you a little bit of technique, you can do it better. Yeah. Just like if like a white belt in jiu-jitsu or somebody who's never trained before starts grappling with one of their buddies at a barbecue, they can pin each other and figure stuff out. But if they get a little bit of instruction, if they start 2 months of jiu-jitsu, and they're gonna have a million times more technique than they already did.
Yeah, I just you're becoming more effective and efficient with your movements.
Exactly. Yeah.
I find this really fascinating and interesting because you see it a lot too. Like a lot of people need to. This would really help out a lot of people because I work in the strength and conditioning field, and you see a lot of people untrained, like sitting down. They're sitting down most of the day, 9 to 5 jobs, so they're tight. A lot of people can't go into a deep squat. Just a regular deep squat, and just relearning that or getting into that motion really helps out just for your health benefits, huge health benefits. That's why when I heard I had the chance to interview, I was really excited just so I could learn more about this because it's just, researching it is cool, but just to talk to someone directly
who's knee deep in it.
Exactly.
Now, Josh, how's it helped you? Like, we can talk about what the program is, but how has it helped you, especially since you're someone who's been training jiu-jitsu for so long, and how has it helped your jiu-jitsu, if it helped at all?
So it has helped my jiu-jitsu, but and like I've done MoveNat, and I've learned in workshops from some of Ido Portal's students and different movement coaches, and so I kind of look at it all under the same umbrella of like movement skills. It has helped my jiu-jitsu, but it sort of changed the way that I think about jiu-jitsu and movement. So like it's, and that sounds kind of vague. What I mean specifically is like, it has helped my jiu-jitsu in the sense that I have better control of my body, and I have, just by not just MoveNat, but other movement skills that I've learned from different coaches. I have better joint mobility. I'm stronger in certain movements. Like, for example, climbing trees and climbing rocks and things like that definitely builds strength at very strange angles, which are the same angles that you use in jiu-jitsu a lot of the time.
Gotcha.
Like pulling motions and gripping and angling your shoulder out in a weird way and that kind of stuff. So from a strength perspective and conditioning perspective, I found some crossover. But I think of it like what's really changed for me is that I don't really think of it so much as like, what is MoveNat doing for my jiu-jitsu, but I'm thinking of jiu-jitsu as just a subset of human movement now.
Okay.
So it's not just like so here's a good example. If I'm a jiu-jitsu guy and I start doing MoveNat to help my jiu-jitsu, then it's the same as if I'm a jiu-jitsu guy and I take a couple wrestling classes a week to help my jiu-jitsu.
Okay,
right?
Gotcha. Got it.
But if I'm somebody who's interested in human movement and I do jiu-jitsu a lot, then I'm more concerned with movement than I am. Like, I'm doing jiu-jitsu as a part of movement. So just like if I was a grappler, just a general grappler who wrestles, does judo, does jiu-jitsu, I'm a generalist in the grappling world, and jiu-jitsu is just part of that.
Okay, so it kind of gives you training and MoveNat and just putting your body through all those movements and things like that. It just gives you a different perspective on how you train in jiu-jitsu, essentially, and how you learn jiu-jitsu. Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, like a different, like I'm learning and practicing jiu-jitsu from a different perspective than I did when I was just thinking only from jiu-jitsu perspective.
I see.
Yeah.
Does that make sense at all?
No,
Absolutely.
makes total sense.
Absolutely. Yeah, 100%. Maybe it's because we kind of are interested in this stuff, so we've been doing research, and so we're not coming from like a zero understanding of this, but it makes 100% sense. And the thing is too, what people think is it's supposed to make this big difference, right? You're supposed to train this, and it's supposed to make this big difference in your main thing, in your main study, whether it's jiu-jitsu or it's football or it's wrestling or it's tennis. It doesn't necessarily have to make a huge difference. It just has to keep you ready to do the main thing, right?
Yeah, and I think also like I think the model that people are using mentally to look at it is like we were just talking about. What is this doing for my jiu-jitsu? What do kettlebells do for my jiu-jitsu? What do what does rock climbing do for my jiu-jitsu? And I think this perspective in the movement circles is to think more like a generalist movement person. So it's not what is this doing for my jiu-jitsu, but it's what is jiu-jitsu doing for my movement.
Gotcha. No, that makes sense.
And then even though, my main, like 80% of my physical activity is jiu-jitsu because it's my profession and because I love jiu-jitsu. It's still, I still think of it as, a part of my movement practice rather than like, so I guess I think of it from that. So it's like, in mixed martial arts, like, a guy who's just a true MMA guy does wrestling to be a generally good fighter and jiu-jitsu to be a generally good fighter and Muay Thai to be a generally good fighter. But they're a generalist fighter. So if they were doing jiu-jitsu and then learning boxing to be better as a specialist in jiu-jitsu, does that make sense?
Yes, absolutely.
So it's more a difference in perspective.
And what I feel too about this kind of stuff is training in MoveNat or training in CrossFit or just doing basic strength and conditioning circuits on your own time. It just increases your ceiling on what you can do, what's possible. So it's jiu-jitsu falls under that umbrella of what's possible for you. So just by doing anything, and I think stuff like MoveNat is really good because not only are you building strength, but you're building flexibility and you're putting your body through many ranges of motion, which is very good. But what I feel is it opens the ceiling, the umbrella wider for what's possible for your body. So
exactly.
Whether it's jiu-jitsu or it's, you play basketball on the weekends, it doesn't matter. It's just, it just opens the ceiling a little higher than what you were able to do before. And the more you do it, the more your threshold becomes greater. Is that, you guys agree?
That's precisely it. Yeah. Like, and the thing is too, the reason that I gravitated towards MoveNat and all these other movement things is because I've always been interested in transfer. Like how does chess relate to jiu-jitsu and jiu-jitsu relate to chess? How does climbing a tree relate to this and that? So like, it's not just in physical things, but I always loved the idea of, what can I learn from, reading a book about economics and apply that to jiu-jitsu, or what can I learn in jiu-jitsu and then apply to rock climbing?
Sure.
Like, that kind of transfer of stuff is just super interesting to me.
The funny thing about that is the Gracie family is always like, pushing that. They're like, man, my jiu-jitsu, it helped me in eating. Whenever I eat, it's about the technique, and I eat the peas before the carrots and
was that Arnold or
it turned into Arnold. It
was really Gracie. It was really,
and then it turned into Arnold at the end.
You got to your Arnold.
Once I said carrots,
it's Arnold.
Yeah, Arnold. But yeah, like they're so into like to what can jiu-jitsu do for my life, not what can my life do for jiu-jitsu. So even putting on a shirt, we joke about it, but that's what they've you've seen time and time again from Henner here on and the whole Gracie family about, I put on my shirt and I use jujitsu. I put on deodorant. I use jujitsu. It's all about the technique of things. And
exactly. Those guys are in love with technique. And I remember my teacher Phil Miglaris. He used to train in California at the Torrance Academy in the 90s, and he would tell me stories about how Elliot Gracie had like a technique for opening a bottle, and he had an efficient way to to squeeze a lemon free of its juice.
It's all about efficiency, and honestly, that's one of the main things that jiu-jitsu has affected my life in, because I do always think in terms of efficiency because of jiu-jitsu, because of what jiu-jitsu has taught me, and technique of things. Efficiency, technique. Like I'm always thinking, man, how can I make this a little easier? How can I make this a little better? And jiu-jitsu has taught me that. That's what jiu-jitsu has brought into my life.
Yeah, and exactly the same thing for me. And I feel so when I went to my first MoveNet workshop, I was coming from a jiu-jitsu perspective of thinking like, okay, this is technique. And then when they started showing us how to climb a tree, I was like, holy shit, I'm doing jiu-jitsu to a tree. Like, that's what I felt like. I was doing jiu-jitsu to a tree, or I was doing jiu-jitsu to a rock, or,
Nice.
It just all felt like technique.
So what can you prescribe to someone like myself and
beat
Ames?
me to the punch. Yeah, you beat me to the punch.
What can I describe to someone like myself, and what can you describe to prescribe? Man, I'm jumbling my words.
It's okay. You're thinking about Arnold still. So what can people like us do, or even someone like, how could I apply some of these little principles to the strength and conditioning world for like a warm up, or even
like where can we
things
start
to work on? Yeah.
I mean, on a technical level, playing with different, crawling is probably the easiest way to start.
Okay.
There's a lot of different ways to crawl, a lot of different crawling patterns, techniques, stuff like that. But honestly, I would say just take some crawling and play with it, and so you guys are jiu-jitsu guys. So, so when you crawl, try to find the most efficient way to do it, play with different arm angles, body angles. And then, also play with the least efficient way to do stuff. And if you climb a tree, try and find a more efficient way to climb a tree. Maybe like hook your foot onto a root of the tree and try to drive your hips forward the same way you would when you were.
Interesting.
So it's the same as jiu-jitsu. Like in jiu-jitsu, when you're doing a cut pass on somebody, you get an underhook. And then you get your head in a certain spot, and you drop your weight, and then you drive your hips forward to slide your knee out. So if you're crawling on the ground, you can play with ways to get from point A to point B by using jiu-jitsu movements, or climb a tree and use technique like that.
Nice.
So from what you're saying, someone who, doesn't have that much of an interest to go knee deep into joining MoveNet or joining this guy or that guy, start practicing crawling and climbing.
Yeah, crawling and climb, because those are the most user-friendly things. Like crawling, all you need is a floor and gravity.
Yeah,
true.
And with climbing, you can climb on a pull-up bar, you can climb a tree, you can climb anything, a rope. Yeah. And and I think one of the problems that a lot of people in the movement community have is that, like what you guys were saying, people who aren't looking to jump waist deep into MoveNet and stuff like that. Like, I think one of the problems that a lot of movement people have is getting people into it, and getting people to understand what this stuff is all about. And I think the approach that should happen is just giving people a taste. Like, here's a snack, like crawl around a little bit and see if, try it and have fun and play with it. And, if you have a niece or a nephew that's like a little kid, play a ball game with them, like toss around a ball and crawl around and let them jump on your back. And just make it like just introduce it little by little.
Give them like a trailer, right? Like it's a trailer to the movie.
Don't beat them over the head with it. Like, don't be like, oh, what you're doing is wrong. Strength and conditioning is bullshit. You should be climbing trees. Like, no, that's a bad approach.
Don't be that guy, guys. Don't be that guy.
Yeah, because you alienate people like that.
Yeah,
that's true.
Same thing with jiu-jitsu, and I know because I've been training for 8 or 9 years in jiu-jitsu. I think like 8. I don't know. Over time, I eventually kind of transitioned into being able to be a coach, and you kind of have to do that, especially when I'm talking to my friends. You kind of have to give them a little taste, or else no one's going to want to come and train with you, or no one's going to want to join the school. If a new student comes into the school, you teach them too much. You teach them something very extreme.
Overwhelmed.
It overwhelms them, and they don't want to come back. So you kind of have to, like you said, give them a taste. Oh, look at this. So if somebody's on top of you in a mount and they're grabbing your neck, look how easy it could be to roll them over. Wow, that's very powerful, but it's very simple. But if I show them a triangle choke, they're going to be like, "What the hell?"
Yeah. I mean, a good example is like when new students come in, sometimes we'll do one-on-one intro lessons.
Yeah, we do that too.
Yeah, and the way that I was taught to do this, and the way that my teacher Phil was taught at the Gracie Academy was like somebody comes in and, you show them, standing up in base and how to clinch and just very basic hand positioning. But then you also get on top of them in the mount, with their permission, of course. And you say, okay, what would you do to get out of here? Just get out of the mount and I'll try to keep you down.
True.
Yeah.
And you let them thrash around a little bit. And you don't do it in like a dickhead kind of way, but like, you show them that, listen, if somebody gets on top of you and they want to keep you there, you don't know how to get out.
Yeah. Okay.
And then people in their heads, they go, oh my God, I'm if I get here, I'm fucked. I don't know what to do.
Yeah. It's a powerful message.
And then you show them a bump and roll. You show them a way to get out. Like, okay, if you get on top of me, this is how I would get out. And then you show them the bump and roll and you give them a sense like, wow, I really don't know what to do. And then you give them a solution.
Okay.
True.
And that's a really powerful way to introduce people to jiu-jitsu, because at first, I mean, if they've never done jiu-jitsu before, like they look at the moves and they're like, oh, okay, that's pretty cool.
Yeah.
But they still think like, and this is what I thought when I started too. I went in and I thought like, I'm learning some moves. This is cool. But if I got mad, I could probably get out of this position. If I got mad, I could probably
if you hit
like,
Hulk.
You could Hulk your way out.
Yeah, I did that guy thing where I was like, well, if I got mad, I have that mentality where I could get out. And, but then...
Listen, bro, if you box me into a corner, I don't know what I'm going to do.
I black out. I don't remember what happens.
I'm like a caged animal.
Listen, man, don't put me into a corner. Don't get on top of me, bro. Listen, I'm telling you, I don't care if you're a black belt.
5 minutes later, he's still on the bottom. I can't breathe. Get off me.
Yeah, exactly.
Mama.
Then the first time you get mounted by somebody that's like 120 pounds and you can't get out, you're like, holy shit, I really don't know what I'm doing.
Yeah. Like what I see, it's same thing with jiu-jitsu is like you just, for people that aren't part of that world yet, you got to make it sexy. Let them know like this is why we do things. Like if I were to teach someone a movement to go into neutral spine to line the spine, if I tell that to someone, they might do it, they might not do it. Most of the times they won't do it, especially if it gets a little bit harder. And then I'll tell them, if you don't, you're gonna hurt your back. Maybe not today, not tomorrow, not next week, but down the road, that poor angle on that back, you're gonna get hurt. And then people start taking it more seriously. So just the same thing. If like someone's on top of you, move around, you can't move. Someone gets you, you're done. So kind of open their eyes, look at it at from a different lens.
Yeah, and it's the same thing with the movement stuff. I mean, like the best way that I've gotten people into it is not by like giving some long philosophical speech about evolutionary fitness. It's by like goofing around and like looking like I'm having fun doing stuff, and then they want to try it. Yeah. And then I'll play a game with them. Like, oh well, let's I'll crawl race you, or I'll play like crawling soccer, and then they have fun, and then they want to learn more.
That's true. That's true. You make it fun. What thing will brings people to jiu-jitsu or MoveNet or any kind of fitness thing is they see the fun that you're having. If you're having a great time, they're gonna think this. What are they doing? Maybe I could try that. Maybe there's something missing in my life where it kind of opens everything up. So true. Totally agree with that.
Yeah, you can't have students coming in and it looks like you're like ready to die. Yeah. Like or not even that. I can't have a new student come in, right? And it's his first week. He's trying a free week. And he comes in, he's training 2 or 3 times that week, and it looks like I'm in competition mode all week. I can't have that. For that new student, you kind of have to make it seem like, hey, man, look, we're having a great time. Jiu-jitsu can be very easy if you know what you're doing, especially if you know what you're doing against someone who doesn't. And if I'm rolling with you, I'm not going to look like I'm in competition mode. I'm going to look like, man, this is such an easy time. I wish I was eating an apple right now while I'm mounting you. You know what I'm saying? So I don't know if some schools do that, if they're just an intense school and they're always like, competition mode, and they're teaching people, they're introducing people to jiu-jitsu like that. I don't agree if that's the best way. I agree that you have to introduce them with the fun, if it's not effective or essential, but efficient way of doing it, and then show them the more powerful side of it, the more competition side of it, the more like grueling and intense style of it.
Yeah, because I mean, so like a lot of people don't want to have a stressful day at work and then go to a place that's going to be more stressful.
Oh
I
yeah,
agree, absolutely, man.
Like when I first started doing jiu-jitsu, I was working as a stock guy in the basement of a shoe store.
Wow.
And I would go down on the floor and, you know, like, actually I was waiting tables too. That's even a better example. And, I was waiting tables and like, I was super stressed out because like I was rushing around trying to get shit for people, and I was a terrible waiter and people would yell at me and, you know, and it was really crappy. And I'm like, I was really bad at it. And, you know, customers would be dicks to me. And then I would get off of my shift and I would go do jiu-jitsu, and jiu-jitsu was fun. I could forget about all that stuff.
Yeah.
True.
Your boss is like, Josh, what are you doing? Get out of here. You're messing up the orders. Is this in Philly or in Jersey?
This was in, this time was in Philly.
Oh,
Yeah.
there you go.
You're messing up the orders. Get at it. Beat it.
The life of a waiter is
pretty
hard,
good.
man. The life of a waiter is hard. Maybe you're lucky if you get some kind of break, but most of the time you're standing up, man. Shout back to Outback Steakhouse. I was waiting there for like 2 or 3 years, grinding. But yeah,
How
man.
did jiu-jitsu help your waiting skills?
How was your technique?
Well, I am the worst waiter that ever lived. Like I've been fired from every single restaurant that I've ever worked at.
Is it for dropping things, for forgetting orders? What did you do?
Honestly, like, so Phil and Rick came up with this nickname for me years ago in jiu-jitsu. They call me Sloth because I'm slow when I grapple.
Ah, okay.
And when I wait tables, like, I'm slow as shit. Like, I don't look busy. Even if I'm rushing around, I still look like I'm moving slow. And so, like, you have all these people rushing around and somebody's waiting for their order. And my boss is looking at me like, dude, you got to hustle. And I'm like, I don't want to.
I don't want
This
to.
isn't hustling?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So you know you
I'm
have
hustling.
you know what you got to start doing? Slick your hair back, get sharper looking glasses, maybe wear a leather like motorcycle jacket. Speed your look up a little bit. You know, sleek your look up a little bit.
Or just look like a douchebag waiter.
Oh my god, dude! You know what's funny is I was at tables in New York for a while at this little Italian place in the West Village.
Okay.
And before every shift, there was this little guy that would come in. He looked like Prince Farquhar from Shrek, and he was like, and he would do a little coke in the bathroom, and then he would pep talk himself before every shift,
Like 8 Mile.
Yeah, exactly, just like Eminem and 8 Mile. He'd be like,
Oh, that's
like, this is gonna be the
great.
best shift ever. Like, he would get all hype, and then, I mean, he kept his job, and I got fired. So maybe I was doing something wrong.
You know what's funny?
Yeah.
I had someone who looked kind of similar to the guy, well, Prince or whatever his name is. I don't know if he did coke, but it looked like it. So as you're saying, I'm like, oh, we had someone like that too. He'd always try to leave like the late. He didn't want to clean up, so he tried to take someone's tables nice and early or whatever. But that's funny that you.
There's
mentioned
always
it.
one coke user waiting tables
and a
in your
bunch
job.
of actors and actresses.
Yeah.
Always, you'll always find a bunch of actors.
I
and
believe he was an actor.
actresses.
Actually.
See, I told you.
Quote unquote
Yeah.
actors. All right, man. Listen, man, we gotta go. This was a great talk, though. We definitely gotta come train with you.
Part
man.
2. We need a part 2.
Of course, I'd love to have you guys, man.
Yeah, man.
Yeah, definitely do another one soon. And get a little bit more in depth into jiu-jitsu with you, because I know you're a
Yeah.
jiu-jitsu scientist.
And I still have a lot of questions in my mind that I want to ask. So hopefully we get a part 2 with you, brother.
Thanks, guys. I appreciate it.
Yeah, man. Is there anybody you want to give a shout out? Your school, things like that. Where can people reach you?
Definitely, I want to give a shout out to my teacher Phil and Rick Migler-Reese at Balance Studios in Philadelphia. My brother and his wife Drew and Christine have a website, Cauliflower. They do like photography and stuff like that.
Mm-hmm.
It's jiu-jitsu photography.
Nice.
So it's CAULIPH. It's Cauliflower with a PH.
Uh-huh.
Okay.
I only had one cup of coffee, so I can't spell the rest right now.
It's all right.
Let's go, Sloth.
And then also, do you guys mind if I do a couple more people?
Absolutely.
Go
Take
right
your
ahead,
time,
yeah.
brother, man.
Cool. So Jason C. Brown, you guys had him on your first episode of the podcast.
The man, the myth, the legend, Jason C.
Dude,
Brown.
Jason is the best. That guy is fucking awesome.
He's a really cool guy.
And he's the one that got me into all this movement stuff, so I owe him a lot.
Ah, nice.
Yeah. So him, and then if you check out kettlebellathletics.com, movnat.com.
What are your Instagram and social media handles? And you have a website, your blog?
Yeah, my website is joshvogelart.com.
Okay.
And that has links to like my Instagram, Facebook, YouTube pages. I put stuff up on YouTube pretty often. Like,
yeah, the sloth report makes sense. I was like, why is it the sloth report or the sloth? I get it now.
Yeah, because I'm slow and I'm a terrible waiter.
Cool, man. Thank you so much, and have a good day. We'll talk to you soon,
brother. Thanks for coming on, brother.
All right, thanks, fellas. Have a good one.
Hey, take care, man. Peace.
All right, bye.